Hi students, so I told you that I was going to help you with figuring out whether a source is legitimate or whether it is faulty. So I'm going to show you about PolitiFact.com, which is a site I use to help me determine this information. So here I am at PolitiFact.com, and what it does is it gives a non-partisan look at different statements, different posts, and it could be things from what politicians said, what celebrities said, what people, not celebrities, but just regular people have posted on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, that kind of thing, and it rates them on a scale of pants on fire to true. And when I say nonpartisan, that means that it is not biased by a single political party. So it's not paid for or supported by one political party over another. Actually, it's their job to be not biased and put any of their political leanings aside when they do these fact checks. So this is what the front page looks like. It has some sample questions and the ratings on them, but I want to talk to you about searching for things on here and specific issues. So this is pretty cool. You can click on different things, like you can click on media, people, campaigns, promises. So if you want to know like what a president has kept his word on, you can do that. Issues is a fun one. So like online hoaxes, you can view some things here. Once it loads, it'll tell you how many fact checks they've had lately and what percentage of those have been false, have been like pants on fire. Let's see, how do I, that kind of thing. And I want to show you how it's nonpartisan, because sometimes people don't believe something is nonpartisan. They're like, no, this leans one way or another, but let me just prove to you how nonpartisan this is. So I'm going to click on people, and it automatically loads up some people of interest here. And I'm going to use Mitch McConnell and Bernie Sanders as examples, because Mitch McConnell is pretty conservative and Bernie Sanders is pretty liberal. So we're going to look at Mitch McConnell first. And it has his scorecard of statements. And what it says is he's got about 14% of what he has said is true, 25% is mostly true, 17% is half true. And the really cool thing about this website is you can click on these rankings and see why something is true or not true, and I'll show you that in a little bit. 22% mostly false, 17% false, and only 2% is pants on fire. So most of what he's saying is pretty true or with good intent to be true. Now let's look at Bernie Sanders. Okay, let's go back to people. Okay, remember Bernie Sanders is on the left. So with him, they're showing 12% true, so slightly less than Mitch McConnell. 35% mostly true, 26% half true, 15% mostly false, 10% false, and 0% pants on fire. So really about even with Mitch McConnell. So again, those guys are on two totally different sides of the political spectrum. So this is not, you know, giving one side the advantage and the other side not. You just saw two different people who were rated about the same from this website. So let's talk about the coronavirus and maybe misleading information with that. So I went back to issues and I'm going to click on coronavirus. So it's telling us that out of 45 recent fact checks, only 5% of them were true. Let's see, most of them were false. 45% of the coronavirus fact checks were false. And let's look at some of these. So here's a false one. 6,000% increase in reported vaccine deaths first quarter 2021 compared to first quarter 2020. Well, let's click on it and find out why that statement is false. So it shows us a little blurb of if your time is short, so if you don't have a lot of time to read a long article, it tells you some highlights of why this information is not true. So, for example, it says these figures are based on federally maintained database on adverse reactions to vaccinations that collects information from almost anyone who wants to report it. But the database keepers have stressed the numbers alone are unverified and require case-by-case study to be interpreted. There is no evidence linking these deaths to vaccines. The CDC says the database has not detected patterns in cause of death that would indicate a safety problem with COVID-19 vaccines. PolitiFact has previously debunked similar misinterpretations of reported vaccination reactions data. And then if you have more time, you can read the longer information about why this was not true. So, it just kind of depends on how much you want to read into some of these things. So let's go back and look at some other ones. Per the CDC, there are nearly twice as many vaccine-related deaths so far in 2021 than all the vaccine deaths this past decade. That's false. Here's a half-true one. It says it took the legislature nearly 300 days to act on a COVID-19 bill during this pandemic. We could click on it and find out what part of that is true and what part of that is not true. Oh, okay. Here's a good one to address. This one has been labeled as pants on fire. So really not true. It says mRNA is not a vaccine. It's actually an operating system that's run by Bill Gates to program humans. That's just not true at all. So let's click on it and find out why that is a dumpster fire of false information. If your time is short, the COVID-19 vaccine helps prevent the spread of the coronavirus. They are not part of a Bill Gates-run plot to program humans. And if you want more information about that, you can scroll down and read more on it. But also you can check the sources. So if you're like, hey, where'd they even find out this information anyway? You can see exactly where they found it. You can click on it. It can take you to that website. So, you can tell that it's from legitimate sources and not just somebody's opinions. So I hope that was a worthwhile 7 minutes of your life. Another thing I'm going to show you real quick before I leave is you see this little magnifying glass here? That's a search. So if I wanted to search for something like will the COVID-19 vaccine make me sick? I could search for a specific thing, and then it would take me to related articles about it. So, for example, spam news websites spread false claim about coronavirus vaccine. Hydroxychloroquine is not proven to treat COVID-19 or radiation sickness. You can just check a bunch of different things. There's a bunch of different fact checks on here. So again, you can look through all of these and click on something that seems relevant to your question. So hopefully that information is helpful to you and you'll be able to use that to your advantage. Thanks for watching.